Hi, I'm Lance Lambert. Thanks for tuning into the Vintage Vehicle Show. We are in Lake Stevens, Washington at the Aquafest Car Show. This is an annual show. It is a great show. It's a beautiful summer day. It's in the 80s. There are 200 cars here today. So you are going to do what you do every week. I want you to meet some great people, see some great cars, listen to some great music. So just kick back, relax, and enjoy the show. Avery, this is a beautiful convertible. 1949 Cadillac, breathtaking. The seas parted when you pulled in today. Tell us about the car.
The car was originally purchased, I got it from Wichita, Kansas, a rust bucket, and started about a 3.5-year project. Restoring, rebuilding, replacing, and that's what we ended up with.
3.5 years in one sense sounds like a long time, but to build a car like this, it's not. This is amazing. You've done a little bit of body alterations, it looks like. What all have you done?
Yes, removed a lot of the chrome stuff in the hood, bumper guards, Frenched the headlights, took a lot of the door handles and trunk handles and stuff off, kind of smoothed it out, made it a little more modern looking.
And you got a whole bunch of Chevrolet under the hood, right?
Yes.
What's in there?
It's a 454 Chevy, about 400 horse.
Wow. The interior, nicely done.
Yeah, a friend of mine, Dick Davis, done the interior for me.
Cadillacs have always been a substantial car as far as the custom and mild custom world. I think since these were new, they were customizers were working on them, or people were going out and getting, 52 Chevs and tacking on the back quarter panels on them or whatever. What do you think it is about this design that makes such an impact on the car world?
Boy, I don't know. It's just a unique design on it. The features, the body lines, something everybody seems to love. Yeah, they're not square or boxy, and a lot of style to them.
I mean, here at the show today at Aquafest, we have gassers, we have full customs, we have T-buckets, trucks, wagons, everything you could think of. And everybody seems to be one big happy family. I mean, if you were parked next to one of the gassers with it, all up in the air, you two are going to become best friends by the end of the show.
Well, that's what it's about. Yeah.
What's the best thing you did with this car, the smartest thing you did, and what's the biggest mistake you made?
Sometimes I think starting it was the biggest mistake when I got into it, but it was pretty basket case. It was pretty rusty, but we got through it. As far as the air, I like 47 to 54 or 5 Cadillacs. That's my favorite. They're big, they're nice drivers, and they just turn out to be a nice car.
Well, all of those years have that same little swoopy fin on it.
Right, yeah, until the Eldorado, then that changed in 56.
Probably most of the viewers know the little secret that's held behind that taillight, but tell us what happens back there.
That's the filler tank for the fuel tank. Yeah, that's where the filler is, under the taillight.
When you go into the gas station or show people that, is it such old news that everybody knows about, or do you still get people go, "How? What's that?"
Yeah, yeah. I stopped in Oregon one time. There was an old gentleman there, and there they won't let you put your gas in. They have to do it, and he finally decided to come ask me where it was at because he couldn't find it. So not everybody knows it yet.
Well, you think an older gentleman would know that?
Yeah, you would think so.
Well, Boyd, thank you very much. It is a beautiful car. Thank you very much for being on the Vintage Vehicle Show.
Thank you.
I go to a lot of car shows. I have never seen a Nash Healy at a car show. Of course, I've seen him in magazines. John Gumbinger, this is an amazing car. Thanks for being on the Vintage Vehicle Show. How did this come about? And these have such an interesting history. Tell us a little bit about it.
Yeah, well, they started making them in 1951, and actually even before, they made a few preliminary prototypes, and they raced them in the Le Mans in 1950 and 51, and they finished first in their class and second overall in the Le Mans. And then the chairman of the board, George Mason from Nash, he was almost embarrassed into building them, and he wanted to build them for showrooms and. But to get the people come in to see the cars, and although they did race them, and it is a race car, it's got a Donald Healy Silverstone racing chassis. Actually, it goes way back to a ship cruise where Donald Healy met George Mason on a ship. Donald Healy was coming over to the United States to talk to Cadillac. He wanted to get Cadillac engines for his new car, but. George Mason says, well, you probably won't. They want all the engines they can get, and Donald Healy wasn't able to get any engines from Cadillac, so George Mason says, well, if you can't, come back and see me, and we'll see what we can do. And then they started building the Nash Healys.
These are fiberglass, right?
No, steel body.
Steel, okay.
Steel body with aluminum hood and trunk lid. And it's all one piece. They all pied it together and all that.
And Pininfarina designed this?
Did the body only starting in 1952. The 51 Nash Healys, they had a panel fab and it was an aluminum body. They had a 51 Nash grill in it, and it looked different. It was a two-seater sports car, but then George Mason didn't like that design, and he went with Pininfarina, and he liked the Italian styling. He thought the Italian styles were the best looking cars.
Definitely Italian looking.
Yeah.
The power plant on it, it's an overhead 6-cylinder Nash motor, right?
Correct.
How was that as far as performance?
Real good. It was like 125 horsepower for the early ones, and then 140 for the later ones. It was a Nash 6-cylinder overhead valve, 7-main bearing, and it's got twin SU carburetors on here, and it did pretty good. It did pretty good. It was it did 120 miles an hour back in its day.
Does it drive like kind of a clunky stock 52 Nash, or is it more of a sports car?
Oh, it's sports car all the way.
Okay, cool. It's got the Healy frame, right?
Yeah, and it's not like the Kaiser Darren, which they had the cushy suspension. This is a real race car chassis, and it handles really good. I've got a 51 Nash as well, and it's 180 the other way. I mean, this thing is nice and tight. The steering on it takes a long time. It's got the racing steering to turn. It's not normally like Ramblers or Nashes would be tight radius. It doesn't have that. And but it's a lot of fun to drive.
Well, I think I'm up to 9 Nashes, Ramblers, AMCs, but I haven't had one of these. If you ever want to sell this thing, let me know.
Well, thanks.
Okay. John, thank you very much for being on the Vintage Vehicle
Thank
Show.
you.
This is just delightful to be able to have this on.
No, thank you very much.
Thank you. We have here a car that, I mean, it's not only that you get to be on the Vintage Vehicle Show, but you were in the latest issue of Custom Culture Deluxe with this car, right, Big T and Carla?
That's right.
Tell us about this car. It's kind of famous.
56 T-Birds, been a race car since 67, and set a Bonneville Salt Flat record at 167 miles an hour.
And what year was that?
69. And it's been a drag car all its life. And I kind of resurrected it from the dead, and here it is.
This is not what you normally see people do with a Little Bird T-Bird. Usually it's just bone stock with a 75-year-old guy with a straw hat in it who's being very polite. And
I hear about
this, yeah, I bet. That's what I'm leading up to. What kind of guff do you get from the peer buyer?
Oh, a whole bunch of it. They're just like, oh, how could you wreck such a classic, you know? But hey, it was
The
done.
car was wrecked in 1967.
No, 65.
65, that's right. And so the whole front end was taken off, so they put the fiberglass front end on it and made it into a race car instead of fixing it back to normal.
I have seen you guys going down the road in the most miserable weather imaginable, rain pouring down, and you two are tough. I just see a big old smile on your face.
Hey, it's a fun
She's
car.
ready to take her for a run, dude. Yeah. You be smiling. It's good times.
How is it that a car that is so, you know, rat roddy, or however you want to use the term, has gotten so much attention lately. Everybody knows about this. You were just in a movie, right?
Yep, Rat Rod Rockers. It'll be coming out in the end of this year.
Okay, and they picked that. It's a major player in that. Car Culture Deluxe, that's a big deal to be in that. How is it that this car that isn't a pristine, exactly stock car is getting so much attention?
I'm hoping it's because of the guy who put it together, with all the hard work he did to it and all the labor he did himself, besides a couple of the paint stains.
Is she worried she's not going to get a ride home? She's got to be extra nice to you?
Heck yeah, that must be it, huh?
Well, the running gear on it is pretty serious, and you've touched on it a little bit, but tell us what makes this thing go.
It's got a 514, 4-speed, 411 gears, runs good. It's got 543 horsepower.
Transmission?
Big spline top loader, 4-speed. And yeah, works good, man.
Well, thank you so much for being on the
bet,
Vintage
my
Vehicle
friend.
Show, and I don't normally hug the interviewees, but I'm not passing this by. And you, sir, you just get one of these.
Oh,
Okay.
I thought I got a hug. Right on.
Bill Doucette, you have had the extreme honor of being on the Vintage Vehicle Show in the past with your 58 Ford pickup truck. Well, you're keeping it in the family here. You have a gorgeous 1971 Lincoln. Tell us about it.
Well, thank you, Lance. Again, in the family. This car was purchased by us in 1972. We've owned it obviously since that long, and about 4 years ago we took it out of storage and decided to give it a new life. And so everything came out of the car: motors, upholstery, all the undercarriage has been rebuilt, motor, transmission, glass motors, the electric seats, everything's been rebuilt on it, new paint job. It's been dropped 2 inches, 20s and 18s for wheels. and we're just having a great time, but it's on its second life.
Well, it's very cool. Did this, didn't they all have vinyl tops, or did some did, some didn't?
This had a vinyl top, and that was a fun story. It took over 5 hours to get this top off of this car because of the glue back then. And plus the guy passed out several times, but it was just a huge project taking that top off. But it came off.
Did you find any nice rusty surprises in there? Or?
Part of the top had to be replaced because when they cover the car with that vinyl top, they know they don't care about the metal. So we had to take about 3 feet of the top out and redo it. But that's just part of redoing something like this.
Running gear on this, is it all stock? Or
all stock, disc brakes up front, drums in the back. It's got the big 460. It's I put a cam in it, the bigger carburetor, so I might be getting 420 horse out of it now, which is big enough for this lead sled.
Well, this is the debut year for this, and I have noticed that this car is really getting a lot of attention in the car community.
It seems to be. A lot of people think that we've really totally changed the car, but actually I haven't. Once the vinyl top came off, the car got lowered and all the lettering comes off. It just totally changed the car where it confuses people. People from 35 and younger ask me what it is because there's no name on the car now. They have no idea what this car is. People our age, of course, they know what it is. But so that part's really a lot of fun. It has been getting a lot of looky-loobs and people wanting to know about it.
Top's not chopped on it?
No, the top's not chopped at all. It's all stock. So it looks stock or chopped because it came down 2 inches.
It's interesting how in the hobby, you know, you got to about 1965 era cars, and the newer you got, the fewer of them you saw, and when you got up maybe outside of Mustangs, anything newer than about 68 or 69 you don't see very much of. But this is a 71, and it's sort of it's on the threshold of the new batch of cars that are coming into the hobby.
Well, I think the lead, you know, they call us a lead sled because it's such a big, heavy car, and I think you're starting to see a lot of people kind of bring them back out at me because they are different. You don't see them like your 55, 6, and 7 Chevys. They repopped those in '93. I was only kidding, but there's just so many of those around where these, most of them unfortunately ended up in a junkyard. And people went to the littler cars back in the 70s when they had that gas problem. Of course, they got rid of these big, you know, gas guzzlers. And so there's not many of them around, but they're kind of coming back and people are enjoying them.
And you've owned this car how long?
38 years we've had this car.
And 38 years ago, it was just a nice, cushy piece of transportation.
The wife took the kids to preschool in this, and we were one of the only cars that got to park in the bus zone because it was so big. But we've just had a lot of fun with it. Decided to keep it because I always liked the looks of the car, and this new paint job and stuff just really highlighted how nice this car really does look.
Well, it does look good. It's very striking, and sir, thank you for giving us your valuable time for the second time of being a guest on the Vintage Vehicle Show.
I'm glad it's Tuesday today. Remember I told you years ago it's going to be done Tuesday.
Okay, well, it's Tuesday finally arrived.
Tuesday's here.
Okay, thanks, Bill.
Okay, Lance.
What a great time we've had here at Lake Stevens, Washington at the Aquafest Car Show. A lot of great cars and a lot of great people. We hope you enjoyed it, and if you enjoyed this show, then tune in again next time. Until then, bye-bye.